During my September scouting, I'd gotten trail camera photos of the no-name 10-pointer in two places on the farm. One was the spot where I'd been hunting him in October. The other spot was across a wide valley in a narrow clover plot at the very end of a commercial soybean field. The two spots require completely different winds to hunt, giving me two good options for this buck. With a southeast wind, I head for the clover plot. I made it back in here and got set up. It is as pretty as I thought it would be. The clover plot is really good for first year. Oak trees are all turning. Just gorgeous back in here. Wind conditions are perfect. And we think that probably the thickest cover on the whole farm is right around the end of this point. So there's no telling what might live back in here. I ran camera here for a while, and there weren't any real surprises here. That no-name buck and a nice, I think it was an 8-pointer. Good-looking deer, but young. So, no-name 10-pointer doesn't come out. Maybe we can get a doe and pop out in the field here first. Something a bit older will step out back here in this corner. I'm just going to be quiet and keep my bow close at hand. As mentioned, the day after the cold front brought southeast winds and with them warmer temperatures. After the flurry of activity the day before, the bucks seem to be laying low now. While Mike does see a nice young buck on his farm, Aaron sees only a doe on the public land.
This evening's hunt took place on a small poor man plot that we created during the summer. We seeded that to Frigid Forage Pure Trophy Clover blend, and clover like this is ideal for these small plots. It can sustain a lot of deer pressure during the summer and still produce plenty of forage to attract the deer throughout the entire hunting season. We deal with string jumping all the time when hunting whitetails. There's really only two ways to beat it. Well, three ways. You can aim low, but also it helps to have a fast bow that gets the arrow there quick, but is also quiet. And those are two features that we really love from our HOYT bows. The way you position your ozonics in the tree is important to how effective it is at controlling your odor. The ozone has to go through and mix with your scent stream in order for the ozone molecules to destroy the human scent molecules. If the wind is light, you can point the unit downwind at a higher angle so that it carries farther out. The stronger the wind is, the more you have to point it downward so you get a more aggressive shot of the ozone going through your scent stream. So keep that in mind. To get the most benefit from your ozonics, you have to pay attention to exactly where you point the ozone output.
Two days later, October 27th, is wet and dark. The weather is not enough to keep Chad Lathrop from going after one of the biggest deer anyone has ever seen. The giant showed up in daylight on Chad's camera nearly every day for the past week. Tension fills the air as he waits in his blind.
It is October 27th, and we're sitting in a bottom right now. It's pouring down rain. It feels really good out right now. Feels like a big deer could be up on his feet tonight. We decided to move a hay bale blind in and try try getting him that way. There's a really big deer down here that we're hunting. We've got all kinds of trail camera pictures. He's been here in the daylight. There's a scrape about 25 yards from us. The hope is that he comes and hits that scrape after all this rain. Should be fun tonight.
I thought he was going to come right up here. I did too. Then he turned and we started leaving again. It was then or never. I mean, it would have turned into a 50-yard shot pretty quick.
I'm lost for words right now. That's the deer we were after. That's Ghostbuster. He came in, put on a perfect show. Was coming to 20 yards, and then he just kind of turned and started heading away. I felt like I needed to shoot, so I drew back and got a shot at him, and I know I hit him. It felt pretty good. I'm so shaken up right now. Kind of just taking it all in myself at this point. I watched him run off. And the rest is going to have to play out, I guess. What an unbelievable deer. It's the deer of a lifetime. It's what every deer hunter dreams of. It's what I dream of. I'd be right out here, didn't it? That ain't good.
Chad's hit was uncertain, so rather than push into the cover, the bow hunter decides to back out and return the next day. An exhaustive search reveals nothing, no blood, and no giant buck. Devastated, Chad seeks desperately for a way off the roller coaster, but there is no relief. It is the most painful moment in the young bow hunter's career.
When hunting out of a blind, your bow isn't necessarily going to be in a certain position all the time. Sometimes you'll lay it down, sometimes you lean it. If you don't have an arrow rest that contains the arrow very well, you could find yourself coming to full draw at the moment of truth and the arrow not even be perfectly centered on the rest. That's not the case when you're using the Fuse Ultra Rest. And one of the main reasons why we really like this rest is because regardless of the conditions prior to the shot, you can always count on the arrow being exactly where you need it when you draw the string back. I'm not a deer biologist, but the ones who I have talked with have explained the importance of trace minerals in the diet of deer. So having a supplement like Trophy Rock, whether it's in the rock form or the new 465 ground mineral, is the perfect supplement to improve the health of the deer in the area where you hunt. The Muddy ProCam 10 is a very affordable camera that's ideal for people who don't need a fast trigger time on their cameras. And this might be a situation where you've got the camera set up over a water hole, over a mineral lick, even over a bait site, where the deer aren't necessarily moving, where you have to catch them as they're moving through an opening. But you can take advantage of the lower priced unit in situations where you don't have to capture a moving deer. Ground blinds can be really hard to hunt for a bow hunter because your selection of possible shooting windows can be limited. That's not the case with the redneck. And that's one of the main reasons that I really love these blinds. These vertical corner windows are perfect for bow hunting. You can take a long shot or a close shot without any worry about the arrow hitting the edge of the blind. With the passing of the month's fourth major cold front, Erik Barber is back in his hometown in central Wisconsin, heading toward his best stand.
It's October 29th, and Zach and I are set up for our first sit in Wisconsin. We're up here for 3 days. It's actually the same spot that Chantel killed her buck last year over that water hole. So, anyways, the plan is this morning, I got some pictures of a few nice bucks that I would definitely shoot up here. What my thought is that we're gonna do a little bit of rattling, just some blind calling this morning. Hopefully, some nice buck that's bedded close by is gonna hear that and come check out this area. Deer just hang out here, between all hours of the day. I have pictures of them in daylight, so we're gonna hit the antlers together and hopefully rattle one in right off the bat. Here, look, right there on the ridge, coming down the ridge. Oh yeah, it's a good one. Yep. He stopped. You see him? Yeah. I'm rolling on him. It's coming from the left, right? Yeah.
Got him, man. I think you got him.
Yep. He's down. Zach, he's down. I can't believe it. We have been in a stand in Wisconsin for half hour. It's my biggest buck, man. Good work. Well, we settled down a little bit in the tree stand. We're still super excited. It worked out great. We're gonna get down out of this stand, check out that deer. I can't wait. He is a dandy. There he is, Zach. There he is. Oh, that's the 9-pointer from last year. Oh, I don't know what to say right now. I am so proud of this deer. I could not be any happier. 4-year-old buck here on a farm that I grew up deer hunting. This means more to me than any other deer I've ever shot. Well, we got him cleaned up, we got a tag on him, and there were really a few things that made this hunt work out for us this morning.
This property is a bedding area, so bucks are working their way from the big ag fields that are off to the east and to the west, and they come back to transition through this thick pine bottom. We were set up over that kiddie pool that I put in just over a year ago. I have a lot of pictures of deer just working that pond during midday hours. Chantel's buck last year, Tippy Brow, he was showing a lot of daylight activity, and this year it's the same thing. And the other thing is after we rattled, he came in about 10 minutes later, and he was definitely looking for the sound. And when I grunted at him, that made him stop. It gave him our location. But if you look into this property, it's so thick in the understory. He came in on a mission, and it worked out totally in our favor. This is my biggest buck ever, and I couldn't be happier to fill my Wisconsin tag on a buck that I have a lot of history with. And this is going to be a hunt that I will never forget. I always make sure I'm wearing my Realtree arm guard, especially during the rut and while late season bow hunting. When you have a lot of bulky clothing on, it's important to make sure that the string of your bow isn't going to come into contact with the sleeve of your shirt, causing an errant shot at a deer. My favorite feature of the Scotch Shark release is the adjustability. By just removing one screw, you can adjust the stem of the release and make sure that it's going to fit inside the palm of your hand perfectly. I really like wearing my Cabela's Camo Skins gloves because they're thin enough that they don't interfere with the grip of my bow. And even though they are thin, they keep your hands warm throughout most of the season and offer that concealment that bow hunters need. My favorite feature of the Muddy Tree Stands is their adjustable self-leveling capabilities. You have the option to adjust the tilt of the seat and the platform to ensure you're going to be able to sit comfortably in even the most crooked trees.
My morning hunt on October 29th was much less eventful than Erik's. I did not see a deer, but the cold front and the northwest wind that came with it have breathed new life into my attempt to kill the no-name 10. This afternoon I will head back to the stand where I've seen the buck twice in the past month. The conditions feel perfect. Back in eastern Iowa, Jared Mills checks his trail cameras to find that George Brett has showed up in daylight on October 25th, a full hour before sunset, and 30 yards from the stand Jared hung specifically for that buck. While excited to know the buck is daylight active, Jared and Mike can't help but ask themselves, what if? They had originally planned on hunting the stand that evening, but instead they spent the better part of the 25th searching for the big 8-pointer that Mike hit the day before. Just another trip around the loop on the Whitetail roller coaster. On the doorstep of the rut, excitement builds each day. We all know the exhilaration, nervous tension mixed with adrenaline. This is how it feels to be chasing November.